not unusual to see this in Pinal del Rio. A man in his horse-drawn carriage with cigar in hand in the province known for growing tobacco. This stogie, he says, he bought at the store, but he doesn't have to go far to find it.
El tabaco bueno es el que compone.
Jose Manuel Junco will tell you in Pinal del Rio, growing tobacco is a family thing. He's been part of this cooperative 28 years. His father and grandfather all did the same thing. He remembers working the fields as a child. We were born producing tobacco, he says. This is what we do. The 62-year-old was gracious enough to show us what happens once the leaves are taken from the fields. He took us inside this warehouse, made simply of wood, where the leaves are separated based on where they grew on the plant. You'll see similar-looking structures dotting the landscape as you drive into Pinal del Rio.
El de Mañanita, Librepie, Unimedio, Centro Fino, Centro Gordo y Corona.
Y por el tamaño y el color. He explains the different types of leaves and shows us how they're stored. Think of this warehouse as an oak barrel, which is used to house and age wine.
Esta tiene 5 con sus portales afuera.
The warehouse plays the same role for the tobacco leaf. It houses 3 to 4 tons at a time. But during the season, they can produce up to 46 tons of tobacco.
Aquí ellos están haciendo la selección.
Junco takes us to the other side of the warehouse where something important happens. Part of the process is separating the leaves. What you see these women doing is choosing the good from the bad. Everything is done by hand, from the planting of the seeds to the making of the cigar, and nothing is wasted. What doesn't work is used elsewhere on the cigar. ¿Cómo va a afectar eso a su trabajo?
No, en el caso de esto, pienso que no nos afecte.
We asked Junco how the changing U.S.-Cuba relations would affect his work. On the contrary, he says, better relations may help bring materials they now do not have access to, like fertilizers and machines they sometimes have to get from Europe, which are too expensive. It's equipment he would not just use to grow tobacco. On the off-season, these Cuban farmers also grow other vegetables and grains. Junco's family relies on the land. It's how they survive. In Pinal del Rio, Viñales is a must-see. So we stop there. First, at El Mirador.
La boca, la nariz, es un hombre acostado.
An overlook with the views of a lush, beautiful valley.
¿Ves?
¿Y cuál pueblo es ese?
Ese es Viñales. Nosotros vamos a ir para allá.
Felipe, our guide, shows us the town out in the distance while the tourists take pictures and check out the knickknacks they can buy. A picturesque spot, not just for tourists though.
Ok. Recuerda, Vinelli, a la vista bien arriba.
Born in Pinal del Rio.
Mira, abre, y unos ojos.
Now living in Switzerland, but back for a very important time in her life. Her quinces.
Oh, sí, mejor, ya.
The rite of passage for teenage girls, and for this one, back to her native country to celebrate.
Abre bien los ojos, muñeca.
Mi mamá quería celebrarme los 15 aquí.
Claudia Cruz says her mother wanted to celebrate her quinces here in Pinal del Rio.
Que eso uno lo tiene de recuerdo, las fotos y la fiesta después con toda la familia.
It's all about the memories, the pictures, and the celebration with family. But she emphasized the pictures and the setting.
Después cuando tenga 40, si yo miro las fotos y me recuerdo cuando tenía 15.
When I turn 40, she says, I want these pictures to remind me of when I was 15. Music is what brought these friends from Denmark to this very spot by way of Havana. They've been learning how to dance back in Denmark.
What do you take away from being here in Cuba?
I think the quietness and the life of Cubans.
Steen Hansen told us he wants to see Cuba as it is now, the product of 50-plus years of revolution and an American embargo. It's tough for Marianne Elsis, who has visited twice before, so has naturally developed ties on the island.
It's so difficult for me to see that they don't have any freedom at all. They're in prison, like in a prison.
For those newfound friends she has made, she wants more freedom of expression, freedom to travel, and the ability to earn decent wages. Down in the valley, you'll find this prehistoric mural. Prehistoric only in name. The mural, painted a couple decades ago, pays tribute to Cuba's native people. A rich culture and history that's helping the current residents of the island. In the town of Viñales, it may not seem like it, but its people are always hustling. On the main street, under the shadow of Jose Marti, they wait and wait. Things seem slow at first. Across the way from the main square, you'll notice a couple women who sit and chat. For whatever reason, they don't want to talk to us, but they keep waiting. Walk 2 houses down and you'll find these at a small store, the first sign that tourists come here. You'll have mountain views, says this man, who shows us a laminated flyer with scenic pictures. The attention is on us until the buses show up. Tourists from all over the world get bombarded with offers. This is the center of Viñales. Typically what happens here, the folks who live here come and greet the tourists, hoping to rent out their properties.
This is my home, sir. It's private for you in the center.
This young man knows enough English to get his message across. The home, he tells the French tourists, is available today. He goes on to list all the amenities.
Television, refrigeration, no problem.
AC, private bathroom, and hot water. And if the Cubans get rejected, which they often do, they go on to the next person. They'll remind you they make a living doing something else. This young man tells us he's a singer, but does this to get by. At the park across the street, Juan Echeverria watches the spectacle. For years, the 83-year-old worked on coffee plantations with cattle, milking cows. Now he's retired, making $8 a month. That is barely enough to eat. Up next, how Cubans are getting illegal access to information and entertainment from abroad. Plus, the hope for Cuba's future from a child of the revolution.